Hello beautiful people, this is Mrs. M and this is your flip lesson on Freytag's Pyramid. Freytag's Pyramid was named after a 19th century German novelist named Gustav Freytag, who saw common patterns in the plots of stories and novels and developed a diagram to analyze them. He diagrammed a story's plot using a pyramid, which looks like this. There are 7 components in Freytag's pyramid. The first component is the exposition. In order for me to explain this, I can tell you that the exposition is the setting. It's setting the scene. It's telling you what's going on. But let's use a story that we're all familiar with. Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. In the exposition in Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, you have 3 bears who live in a beautiful little house in the forest. And they get up one morning and they decide they're going to eat some breakfast, but it's not quite ready. So in order for it to get ready, they're going to go for a walk. This is all building up the background information. So you have Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear. So they leave their house. Unfortunately, they leave it unlocked, and they go out into the forest for a nice little walk while their breakfast is finishing. Meanwhile, Goldilocks, the little blonde-haired chick who has no regard for anybody's personal property, sees the little house and goes to the house and is very curious. There's your exposition. That's the setting the stage. It's setting it up. It's telling you what's going to happen. Second component of Freytag's pyramid is the inciting incident. Well, in Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, the inciting incident is when Goldilocks enters the house. If she doesn't enter the house, you have no story. So this is what happens. The inciting it's the thing that happens that causes all of the other events to happen. In this case, by Goldilocks breaking and entering the bear's house, you have your inciting incident. The third component of Freytag's pyramid is your rising action. Notice how the pyramid rises up toward the top. The rising action are all of those things that happen while Goldilocks is in the house. She goes in and she goes into the kitchen and she sees these lovely bowls of porridge, and so she's going to try each one, and we all know the story. She sits down at the big huge bowl, but it's way too hot, so she can't eat that one. So she goes to the middle-sized bowl, that's way too cold, so she's not going to eat that one. So she goes to the tiny bowl, and that one just happens to be just right, so she eats it all up. And now being hungry, or now having fed herself, she's going to go into the living room, and she sees these chairs, and the same thing happens. She sees the big chair, but it's just much too hard, and she sees the middle-sized chair, and it's just way too soft. And then she sees a small chair, and it's just right, except that Goldilocks ate all that porridge, and so now the chair breaks while she sits on it. So she breaks the chair, and she decides, well, she's really, really tired. So she goes up the stairs, and she finds the bedroom, and she finds the big, huge bed and rustles around in that for a while, but that's just too big, and it's not comfortable, too lumpy. She goes to the middle-sized bed, but that one's just way too soft, and that one wasn't going to work either. And so she finds the small bed, and she crawls under the covers, and she falls promptly to sleep. There is your rising action. It's all building up to something, because we know at that point then, the bears come home. The bears come home, they see the porridge, and baby, oh my, somebody's eating all my porridge. And then they go into the other room, and they see that Baby Bear's chair is broken, so they quietly walk up the steps to the bedroom, and Papa Bear sees his bed has been messed with, Mama Bear sees her bed has been messed with, and then Baby Bear sees his bed has been messed with, and guess what? She's still there. There's your climax. It all builds up, the building that tension of all the things that Goldilocks is doing, and then the bears come in and see what's happened. The climax of the story would be when Baby Bear sees Goldilocks in the bed, and she then sees Baby Bear, and she screams, right? There would be your climax. That's the point of the highest tension in the story. After that, you have falling action. If you have rising action, if something goes up, it has to go down. So you have rising action, and then you have the falling action. Goldilocks sees the bears, gets scared to death. She screams, runs out of the house, screaming out, going into the woods, and I'm sure she'll never do anything like that again. And the bears are there left to clean up the mess. This is falling action, which leads you to your resolution. These things may happen very quickly together. The resolution being the ending. What happens? Well, Goldilocks leaves the house, goes screaming off into the forest. The bears are left looking at each other, and Baby Bear neither has breakfast nor a chair, and his bed has been totally messed up. So there's your resolution. The last part of Freytag's pyramid, the last component, is the denouement. And denouement is kind of your conclusion of your conclusion. This is where you're left wondering, well, what happened afterwards? Or what's the theme? Or what is it that the author is wanting to tell you about this? Well, maybe there's a lesson there for the bears. He doesn't say it outright, but maybe there's a lesson for the bears that they cannot trust little blonde chicks who go traipsing through the forest. Or maybe they should lock their door. And maybe there's a lesson for Goldilocks that she shouldn't just go into anybody's house if she doesn't know who's there. Maybe she'd knock and ask permission. But with the denouement is that conclusion, that leftover piece there, that the theme of the story. What is the author trying to tell you? So those are the 7 components of Freytag's pyramid. We'll look at the next slide. It's a little bit more in detail. This is the breakdown. And again, exposition, setting the scene. Writer introduces the characters and setting and providing description and background. The inciting incident, something happens to begin the action. Sometimes it's called the complication. You have rising action, the story builds and gets more exciting. The climax, the greatest moment of tension in the story. Falling action, what goes up must come down. So after the climax, the events that happen as a result of the climax, we know the story's going to end soon. Resolution, character solves the main problem or conflict, or someone solves it for him or her. And the denouement, the ending. At this point, any remaining secrets, questions, or mysteries which remain after the resolution are solved by the characters or explained by the author. Sometimes the author leaves us to think about the theme or future possibilities for characters. This can be the most difficult part of the plot to identify, as it is often very closely tied to the resolution. To be prepared for the quiz that I have sent you on email, you are to watch For the Birds, an original Pixar short movie. While you're watching the movie, you might want to make notes on a piece of paper that answer the following questions. What did you learn at the beginning of this story, the exposition, about the characters? What inciting event causes the action to begin to rise? Where does the story peak? Is there a clear climax? Which events lead up to the conclusion, and how is the story resolved? You can search for the movie on YouTube. I originally had it in this video, but the audio, I don't want to break any copyright laws or do anything like that. The audio wasn't very good, and again, it'd be much easier for you to search it. You can search For the Birds, Pixar, or you can go back to your email for the link that I have sent you. You need to watch the video before completing the quiz. And you're ready. You can use this flip lesson, take notes on it, make notes on it, because you will need to be able to put Freytag's pyramid in order and identify parts of the short movie.